Hello and welcome to the Yokology Blueprint video series. My name is Daryl Evans. I'm one of the co-founders of Yokology Internet Marketing, and over the next several video series, which probably will total somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour in total for all the videos, it is my pleasure and privilege to really discuss with you some of the core strategies and processes that we use in our business to help our clients grow their business online. There's four categories that matter, and let's talk about those really quick before we finish this overview. The first strategy we're going to talk about, and we're going to spend the most of the time in this video going over, is strategy number one: how to get your business found online. Another way to look at that is how to generate traffic to your website. Traffic is essentially people. How to get people to find your business who are interested in buying what you sell or hiring you to provide the service that you provide. Step two, in video number two, we're going to talk about generating leads. One of the misunderstandings that business owners have, both small and medium-sized business owners, even large corporations, misunderstand this idea that if a visitor finds you on Google or finds you on search engines or finds you in social media and they come to your website, that they're automatically predisposed or preconditioned to buy. That's just not true. There are several things that are in play when someone finds you, depending on where they find you online, as to what is going on in their mind. And we're going to talk about that in video number two. In video number three, we're going to talk about how to increase sales over the long run. One of the challenges that we hear from business owners is they really think that when a visitor shows up to the web that they're ready to buy, that as long as the business owner, or excuse me, as long as the customer gives them a call or fills out a form, they'll close all the deals. Well, that's just not reality. The fact of the matter is no one closes 100% of all incoming phone calls. No one closes 100% of all incoming, form leads, or if someone fills out a contact form on your website. So, but how do you close those leads if you can't answer the phone every time someone calls, if someone's not ready to buy today, if they're just looking for a quote today? You have to understand what those signals mean and how to then automate follow-up processes that are in place that can help increase sales exponentially over time. And most importantly, and last, will be how to track, measure, and improve the process and the progress that you have in your marketing campaign so that you can continually make improvements so that you can reach your ultimate goal of getting found, generating leads, and increasing sales. So, as I mentioned, my name is Daryl Evans. I'm one of the co-founders of Yokology Internet Marketing. I actually got my start online in 2003 or 2004 when I was in another business. Now, like you, I was using several methods of generating leads for my business. Obviously, number one was referral marketing. Number two, I used a lot of advertising methods. Direct mail was my number one resource. And I mean, I had direct mail dialed in. Direct mail for me back in those days were 3-4% return rate, or 3 to 4% response rate on my direct mail. Now, if you know anything about direct mail, you'll know that statistically, 0.5% to 1% was considered a good response rate. Well, I was doing 3 to 4 times what the normal response rate was, or what the normal response rate was considered. In 2004, 2005, things started to shift. And actually, I did start noticing it in 2003, but 2004, 2005 especially, I noticed those numbers starting to decline. So I started to step back and wonder what was changing in how I delivered the message. Was it getting to the right audience? And I started doing what most business owners do and start thinking, are there other ways that I should be reaching my customer? And of course, the web was starting to pick up speed, and I built my first website in 2004, and really the history was written from there, because I started realizing how much power and how much leverage I could employ with my website, being able to speak and communicate part of my sales message through a digital platform that didn't require me or my sales team or my employees to be present to actually communicate a good chunk of my message. And so if you're a business owner today and you'd like to figure this whole piece out, and maybe you want to figure out, this web thing is just elusive to me. It's been draining my mind on how it works and I don't know who to trust and I don't know who to believe, then I want you to really dig into this video series and this process so that you can understand how you can employ it in your business from here going forward, whether you decide to work with us, work with someone else, or if you decide to try to do these things in-house. So having set those prerequisites, the last thing I want to say before we jump in and get into the Get Found section, I want to ask you to suspend any disbelief over any preconceived ideas you've had leading up to internet marketing at this point. You know, we are, unfortunately, the real drag on what we do every day is we have to talk to business owners who have just been burned by other companies or burned by SEO companies or burned by, I call them imposters, who essentially are preying on business owners who just don't know the difference between a good marketing company and a bad marketing company. What I'd like to do today is empower you so that you know the facts and you know what to ask if you choose to call another company. You know what you now know. But going into this, suspend any disbelief of anything that's gone wrong. Maybe you've done pay-per-click marketing and it hasn't gone right. Maybe you have set up a website and someone said they were going to do SEO on it and it didn't go right. Maybe someone said they were going to set up a social media campaign and it didn't go right. Do me a favor, to get the most out of this follow-up series, you've got to be in a willingness and a mindset to learn. All I want you to do in this series is learn. There isn't anything that you can buy through this video series. At the end of the series, there will be an invitation if you would like to consider working with us. We're very selective about the clients that we work with, but if you'd like to consider the possibility of us implementing and executing these ideas for your business, then there will be a time when you can apply for that conversation. But for right now and for the next several videos, please just be in a learning mode, set some time aside, turn off your cell phone, turn off your iPad, turn off your computer and your email, go into a room where you're separate so you can really start to take and digest this information. So if that's okay with you, then let's go ahead and get started. This will be the longest video in the series, I promise, but let's go ahead and get started and talk about the very first and most important aspect of your online marketing campaign, and that is how to get your business found. So with Yokology, we employ two different processes, two different strategies, and we do them combined to help your business get found. The number one thing most business owners want when they come to see us is they want their website found on the first page of Google. Does that sound familiar to you? Is that a goal that you have? I mean, this is the number one thing that most business owners are asking us for. The challenge is they want to do that in what we call the local search marketing section or organic section or organic listings of Google. And we're going to talk about how to do that in ways that we help our clients do that. But we must understand that search engine optimization, the search engines themselves, are always changing and adapting their algorithms. So it makes it continually challenging to make a promise or a guarantee that a company can put you on the first page of Google. Now, local advertising or using, for instance, Google's paid platform is the way that we combined both initiatives at the same time. And we're going to talk, and this will make a little bit more sense as we go forward. But let's dive in first to local search marketing. First of all, it's broken down for us in 5 phases. Number 1 is the research phase. Number 2, what we call the local SEO and Google map optimization section. There's on-page SEO, and then there's content marketing, and then off-page SEO. And I'm not going to go into a deep dive on this because that's not what this series is designed to do. Again, you're probably not interested in the how. You're probably wondering how it all fits together and why it works so well for the clients that we've already worked with, and we've kind of talked a little bit about thus far. Well, let's dive first into the research stage. There's 3 stages, right? The first thing you need to understand is market and industry analysis. I use a lot of analogies, so please bear with me as we go through this, but it's easier to understand than the technical side of what it is that we do. What we end up doing in market analysis is essentially looking at your competitors, and I'm going to use an analogy right now. Let's imagine you're in a race car. You're in a race car and you're approaching a race, and there's 20 cars in the race. And let's just, for the example, say that you're driving a Porsche, right? It's a very nice car. It's fast. It's sporty. It's great. You think you've got a really good car. It's fast. I don't know how fast it goes, but you know that it's a pretty quick and pretty agile, pretty fast car. Well, you pull up at the race and the other 20 competitors are all driving Ford Focus. They're driving a Ford Focus. It's a 4-door sedan, economical car. It's not a bad car. But in comparison, if you're driving a Porsche and the other 20 cars in the race are driving Ford Focus, then who's going to win the race? Hands down, you're going to win the race. So it's not about the number of competitors that you're competing against. It's about the strength of the vehicles that they're driving, right? Let's do this example one more time. Let's pretend there's only one race car in the race besides your own. You're still driving the Porsche, and you hear that there's only one other competitor in the race. Maybe it's your biggest competitor in your industry. And you pull up to the track, and you're pretty excited because you're driving your Porsche. But next thing you know, you look to the side in your right hand mirror or your right window, and you see that they pull up in a NASCAR. They pull up in a NASCAR circuit qualified race car. Well, what are your chances of winning that particular race? The answer is nil, zero, zip, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't understand what your competition is doing, if you don't understand how well your competition's website is built, if you don't understand what's under the hood of their race car, then you're never going to be able to compete. And that's one of the first things we do when we're working with a client, is we essentially are working to get under the hood of your competitors' cars to figure out where your car is deficient than their car so that you can actually compete in the race. And here's the reality. A lot of business owners will come to us and tell us what they think their number one keyword is, or their number one phrase that their customers are typing in online. And in many, many cases, we tell the business owner, there is no way you're going to compete for that phrase for maybe 6 or 12 months. And the reality is, if they listen to us, then they'll sleep better at night, because there's thousands upon thousands of keywords that their competitor is not thinking about. And again, if you're driving a Porsche and they're driving a NASCAR, then it's not realistic to believe that you're going to compete with a NASCAR with your car still being a Porsche. Now, what we have to do is build your Porsche up to be a NASCAR qualified race car, and that's what takes time to do. So in this particular part of the process, these are the things we're doing. We're doing industry analysis, competitor analysis, and keyword research. You've probably heard of some of those phrases. Next in our process is what we call local SEO, or Google Map optimization. Now, if you're in a local business particularly, you're probably familiar with a Google search phrase bringing back results that include the A, B, C, D, E, F, G map section, which are a separate listing section than the organic listings. And again, just for basic understanding, there are 3 sections on Google search: paid section at the top, organic section are the full horizontal listings, and then this map section is I call it the cutout section, where they are labeled A through G. In some cases, that's the full, what we call a 7-pack. So we're working to help your local business with local SEO. Well, what does that mean? What does that really mean? Google, their goal is to determine the intent of a particular search query. So if the search query seems to intend that the searcher is looking for a local business or a local result, not a national result, then they're more likely to include the map section and local results for local businesses like you in the particular set of results on the first page. Now, in many cases, the entire first page could be full of local results, or it could be what we call a blend or a merged set of results, where maybe Google's algorithm is not quite sure you want a local business, but maybe they think that you do, and so they're giving you a blend. So there's a mixture of opportunities there where you want to be, if possible, you want to be found in that Google Maps section or that local SEO section, the 7-pack, as we call it, A through G. And that's another set of processes that we initially start working on, because the majority of our clients are local businesses. Again, then we work on the map section. There are a lot of people who search the map section alone and don't use particularly the regular search engine side of it. And many people don't know that you can just click straight on maps from your phone, from your iPad, from your computer, and just search for the nearest businesses to your location that have a particular, let's say, for instance, you have a plumbing problem. You can go directly to Maps and find out who the closest plumber is to your location. So these are some of the things that we're talking about and working on in local SEO or on-page SEO. On-page SEO is really the beginning ground of all search engine optimization. On-page SEO simply means, what are you doing on your website that both tells your customer what you do and what services you provide, but also tells the search engine what you do and what services you provide. Now, there are some theories out there that say there are over 200 search engine optimization factors, over 200 search engine optimization factors. And it always surprises me when business owners think that there's these 4, 5, or 6, or 8 things. Well, I did this and I did this and I did that. Or we hear from companies that say, well, we provide X, Y, Z, and they're really not looking holistically at everything Google is interested in when it comes to on-page SEO. So our system breaks down all those factors. We don't take care of all those factors in day one because it's just not possible. Obviously, 200 factors are quite a bit. But our system is very exhaustive and continually building to the best optimal on-page SEO structure. Let's keep moving and go on to the next topic, which is content marketing. Now, content marketing is sort of, in many respects, new. It's a new term. It's a buzz term. And it really applies to what we're going to talk about in video 2, which is the online sales funnel or the online sales cycle. And that is that today, with the internet, your customers are now more empowered than ever before to do their research online and compare products and services online long before they ever pick up the phone and give you a call. You know, I'm going to date myself a bit, but when I was in the real estate business back in the 90s, if you were a home buyer or a potential home buyer, you could not access the MLS. You had to call a real estate agent in order to find out what homes were on the market, assuming you didn't want to drive around town all by yourself in your car, which you certainly could do. But if you wanted specific details on a particular property, you had to contact a real estate agent who had an MLS book, which, for lack of a better phrase, it looked like a phone book for all intents and purposes. Just think back to the old phone books that were super, super thick. That was when, you know, the professional was the barrier to information for a product or service. Well, that's changed with the internet. Consumers today are looking for information online. They're researching, they're answering questions, they're getting their comparisons done, and then they're picking up the phone to call. So one of the core strategies we use, we call it FAQ marketing, or frequently asked question marketing. We're really helping you as a business owner answer the questions through content on your website that your customers have in their mind today. And the process we use, the strategy we use, is that if we can answer those questions while they're on your website, when they're searching at 11 o'clock at night after your business is closed, when they get a break at work and they can only spend 15 minutes searching for an answer to their problem, and they find your website and they're able to get that question answered, you are essentially building trust in your company and in your brand because you were able to provide that information to them. And this is one of the challenging topics that business owners seem to have trouble wrapping their heads around. Because if you're a plumber, you're thinking, well, if they need plumbing help, then they need to call me so I can come out and fix the plumbing work. But today, you want to be positioned in a way that you provide good service, good advice, good information on your website so that they trust you to give you a call in terms of getting you out to take care of the service at their actual property. So this content marketing it's new, it's evolutionary, and it really deals with just the mindset of building and establishing trust with your visitors to the web. So let's move on to off-page SEO. Oh, let me just cover this really quick. I didn't dive into too much, but we do cover keyword research in this process, which helps identify what your customers are thinking about. You actually help with that process. We, again, implement blog post creation, and also in some cases, we do videos to accompany that information online. The next important part of it, and this is one of the most important parts of SEO, is off-page SEO. And essentially, for a local business especially, we are prospecting for links. And this is a very, weird topic to talk about. It's very technical, but essentially a link is when your website is linked to from another website. And you can have that happen a number of different ways, but with local businesses especially, there are directories out there that are specific to local businesses. Some of them you've heard of, like Yelp, Google+, Bing Local, Yahoo Local. You can think of Manta, City Search, Craigslist. I mean, they go on and on and on. There are hundreds and hundreds of directories out there. So we help to optimize you in these directories to get these links pointing back to your website, which help build what Google calls your prominence and relevance for various search queries. Link prospecting is another aspect of it, which is trying to get authoritative websites to find your website authoritative. In other words, if your website isn't thought of highly throughout the web, then Google's not going to give it much credibility when it comes to putting it high in a search query. One example of that would be, look at the website Wikipedia. How many times have you ran a search where you've seen Wikipedia show up in the first 1, 2, or 3 listings? Well, Wikipedia is a very authoritative website. It's a very information-driven website. It's resourceful. It's credible. It has tons and tons of links that lead you to further information. And that's really what we want to build when it comes to local search optimization for your website. And again, without explaining all the nitty-gritty details, it would take far too long than what we have in this video. That's what we're talking about when it comes to off-page SEO. What's most important now for us to get into as we wrap up this video is local and or paid advertising. And while we also work on Bing's advertising platform, we're going to spend today's time talking about Google AdWords and specifically Facebook ads. Because again, when you're starting an SEO campaign or you're starting an online campaign to get your business found online, things just don't happen overnight. And that's one of the misunderstandings or misconceptions. Things just don't happen overnight. If you're launching a brand new website, or maybe you've done some things in the past, your website could actually be penalized by Google. There's so many things that could matter as it relates to your website. But let's dive into first Google AdWords and how we implement Google AdWords at the very beginning of our processes. Again, it starts with keyword research, deciding and defining what your customers are actually typing in the search engine to get answers to questions. We obviously want to make sure your campaign is set up properly. And again, within this confine of this video series, we don't have too long of a time to go into the detailed nature of our campaign setups, but we've done a 4-part series on our blog that explains exactly what we're looking at when it comes to campaign setup and then managing the campaign daily. I can't tell you how many times we talk to business owners who have done some work with regard to pay-per-click, whether they hired a company for pay-per-click, whether they had some experience with pay-per-click, and they just seem to think it doesn't work. It absolutely works. It's more competitive than it ever has been, and it certainly was easier in days past. But I'll tell you, pay-per-click advertising is one of the most targeted ways to drive your most qualified visitor to your website today when they're ready to convert. And so we implement both paid ads in Google AdWords as well as in our regular SEO efforts and local search efforts as we're moving through the process. The next thing that's important to consider is Facebook. Now, most of the time when we talk about Facebook with business owners, the first thing we get is usually a cringe or a roll of the eyes, because most people think most business owners still think Facebook is just a platform for kids. Unfortunately, and again, we don't have a long time to go through this. We've got plenty of other information on Facebook on our website and in a program that we put together. But Facebook literally is where millions upon millions of people, in fact, 1.2 billion people now use Facebook all around the world. In the United States, I think the number's close to 200 and something million. And I don't have time again to do full justice to how many people spend time on Facebook, but I like to make sure you're aware. Think of Facebook the same way you think of television. How many people watch television socially, and advertisers have found their way into the social experience of watching TV? Well, you as a business owner can find your way in front of your customers, in front of your target customers while they're inside of their social experience on Facebook. So a few things to really understand about Facebook is there's an immense amount of demographic and interest data available so that you can really find and narrow down your target market while they're hanging out on Facebook and get your message in front of them there. Obviously, you've got to make sure your campaigns are set up properly and you're managing your campaigns. But what's most important, there's only 3 real keys to building a successful Facebook campaign. And that is, number 1, you must build a fan base or an audience for your business on Facebook. Number 2, you must have an engaging conversation, an engaging message, and an engagement process so that those fans aren't bothered by your messaging, but they're more attracted to your business and your brand. And thirdly, you're going to want to make sure you've got a measure of a way to lead capture those fans when they're ready to buy into your sales funnel, which we're going to talk a lot more about in video number 2. So as we wrap up this conversation in video number 1 about how to get your business found, let's just take a quick review of the 2 major strategies we employ at Yokolocal. Number 1, We spend our time focusing on local search marketing or working in the organic side of Google, and that includes Yahoo and Bing as well. We just don't spend as much time talking about that, but we know 68% of all traffic goes through Google search engine. Again, we broke down and talked about research, we talked about local, we talked about on-page, off-page, and content. And finally, we talk about local advertising, and these two work in tandem. And in local advertising, we are talking again about Google AdWords, a properly optimized campaign, a one that's strategically driven, and also on Facebook for those businesses where we can find the demographic information that is necessary that can identify those qualified leads for your business. So as we wrap up video 1 and get into video 2, we're going to talk about how to generate leads once these visitors make it to your website. So I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video number 1 in the Yokology Blueprint follow-up series, and I will see you in video number 2. We'll see you then.